Welcome to Yellow Skunk Farms, everybody. Quick disclaimer, this is not a channel for kids. If you're not 21 years of age or older, please leave. Don't sell any type of or advocate for any type of illegal drug use. Thank you very much. What's up, guys? Are y'all hungry again? You're always hungry. Who am I asking that for? You're always eating. Where's Scooter? Oh, there you are. I see you over here looking at me. Cooter's getting brave. They're actually not scared of me sticking the camera in their face anymore. They're kind of used to me feeding them now, so with the camera in their face, so they don't mind the camera because they are associating it with a worm or some nuggets or whatever I'm doing. And we bent over the big girl yesterday. Just run a little string, a little hemp line right on down to the rock, tied it around the rock. Didn't even have to tie it, just kind of stuck it up in there. But if we need to, we can just keep pulling it down. You can see how it's just going to turn and go right up to the light. It's not going to slow it down at all. We're not going to top it. Everybody wants me to top. I never top my plants. You lose time. You lose days, in my opinion, and I don't like taking the top off. So I like seeing that. Look at that cola start to build. Now we're going to get that big old cola on the top. Here's the top of the male. Let's see. And today's day 21 of flowers, so we're going to add in a little red today. So that's what we got to do. We've got to dial in the reds. So we're starting week 4 here. So right now I'm at 90% of the cool white, 50% warm white, no red, no far red. And I'm at 35%. Now I'll show you how easy it is to adjust these Grand Masters. So here are my 4 channels. Each channel is a different spectrum. Basically, it's the cool blue, warm white. Cool white, warm white, red, far red. Okay, or deep red, whatever you want to call it. So we're running 263 watts of power on all 3 lights, 35%. That's given us a ppfd around here of about 900, up there like 1,000, 1,200. That one there was up in the 1,500 range, but down here we're around 850, 900, 850, 900. DLI is the most important part. We're around 38ish, so that's given us the proper amount of intense light. So if our DLI is high, daily light interval, if that's high, we're pumping too high intensity too fast. So we're pushing down on the gas too hard, and we can intentionally crash and burn our plants. We need to up off the intensity. We need to basically push the plant as hard as we can into the corner without ending up in the ditch. That's kind of how I like to put it. And the DLI is what regulates how much power we're putting down into the system here. The intensity, whatever you call it, the intensity of the freaking light is, can be in the 1,000 range if our DLI is low enough and it's not getting as much of that 1,000 lumens or whatever you want to call it, ppfd. All that shit, all that scientific talk gets me. That's why I'm dyslexic, so I don't really talk that way. I talk in layman's terms. So if you're here to learn science, you're not the right place. But if you're here to, basically, I am putting in practice what I've learned from real scientists. I just can't talk like them, you know what I mean? So I'm putting into practice what I've learned from Soil Food Web, Dr. Elaine Ingham, Leighton Morrison, Marco is Growing, and all these people are big influences. Matt Powers, you know, there's just so many people out there that have been influenced and I've learned from. I'm just taking all that information, and this is what I came up with, a way to naturally wick water into the system, create that biology that's turning this sand and silt and clay into nutrient-dense soil that the plants can naturally uptake through the natural process of the soil food web. And if you're not familiar with the soil food web, I highly recommend looking it up. Dr. Elaine Ingham and the soil food web. I highly recommend looking into the horizontal soil system, or the horizontal, basically the layers of the soil, how the soil, I just mimicked the soil layers. So you start off with the organic matter layer, and then you go down into like the sand and the silts and the clays. That's basically what soil is just weathered rock, which is the clay, weathered and broken down wood, organic matter like leaves, tree trunks, and all the diversity of different types of plants that get broken down and turned into silt and sand. And then all this turns into eventually soil, which the plants and the biology have now a home. This is an old avocado shell. Just a home for biology. Just feeding the soil is what we're doing. That's the best way I could describe it, is feeding the critters in the soil. So my male here is definitely popping pollen. You can see some sacs opening up. That's what they look like when they're open. Now hopefully we get some good pollen. We'll wait and see, you know. That's my first time, well, my first time actually doing it on purpose. See the little flower? It's my first time doing it on, and there is some pollen on my hand, I see it. So we're going to take this run and pollinate this whole room. The pollen will not carry over into the next run. So that's why we have rain showers. You know, when you remember, everybody knows in the springtime when the pollen hits, it covers everything. It covers cars, but you know, it doesn't stay around forever. The next rain comes along, boom, all that pollen's gone, washes all that pollen away. That pollen is not viable after that. Gotcha. So it'll be a one-time shot basically for that pollen, and then we'll cut the plants and then process the seeds and all that, go from there. But the pollen that's left over on everything, we'll just bring the little water hose that we have over there and do a morning dew and just spray down everything, and done. All that pollen will be null and void. Wash it right on away down into the soil. That pollen will help probably do whatever, feed something. But that's how this whole system is going to work. We're just turning sand and silt into clay. We were live yesterday. If you saw me add this line, I added a new line because that's just a line of sand and silt, clay, organic matter coming up out of the creek into the soil pocket here. And that's how I regulate the amount of water that's coming into the soil beds. You can see I put some of that underneath there as well. And the worms, isopods, will run through that new sand, silt, clay, organic matter, eating all the bacteria and turning that into what you see beside it. Those worm castings. And that basically turns into mud if it gets wet around the edge, and that mud is just packed full of biology. These are the pads. This is the pad we put in there yesterday. And it's being eaten by mites. The worms will get up in there and run through it, pushing all that biology down into the soil. But I'm feeding those critters right there. You're seeing those mites, little springtails, tiny little isopods. That's a dairy cow isopod. That's probably the biggest. That's the biggest isopod in the bed. They get big. That's not the biggest one, actually. That's a small one. But this is what we're doing. We're feeding these guys the sand and silt, clay, organic matter, and they will turn this into soil that the plants can then uptake the nutrient that they're mining. I'm trying to get it to focus in, but you really gotta get deep in there to see it. It'll just move itself. Like, I don't have perlite. I don't do any type of aeration. The aeration is the critters, like the worms, the isopods. They'll just continue to turn. It actually looks like the soil is moving. You know, you don't have to move much, and then you'll see how it's all been aerated or in aggregated, like all those little agates, those little balls of soil that you see. Allow air to get in, allow those little critters to crawl in and out of those little agates. They're tiny, but they're there, and that allows air to get in there. We don't need perlite. There is no perlite in nature. Some people use rice hulls and all that other stuff. Rice hulls are going to get devoured. What we need is life. Life will aerate the soil for us. I didn't have to. You saw me. I didn't have to move much. Just, you know, they're there. They're just underneath that surface there. You see, he doesn't like the light. Like, none of this stuff likes the light. It wants to get away from it. As soon as I move, whatever it is, I mean, they're gone. They're like, they want to get away from the light. And that's why cover is so important. Always got to cover your soil. Give these guys, but not too much. You can't cover too much, because if you cover too much, look at that. If you cover too much, the air, you suffocate. So we want light cover. Allow these guys to do their work. It literally looks like the soil is moving. So much life. Don't have to do anything. I disturbed them right then. Like, they're like, holy shit, the hand of God is coming down again. So here's the old stump. And this is where I took that sample for Leighton too, right here. This is where I took it. And you saw all that life there. He said there's nematodes. There were 6 nematodes per little drop. So he put a drop of soil, a little pinch of soil on a slide, put a little drop of water on, or whatever that liquid is, put it on the thing, and there were 6 nematodes. He said that's off the charts. So that tells me that's why there are no fungus gnats here, because nematodes eat fungus gnat larvae. And there's so much life in the soil that nothing bad has a chance. Look, there's the old stump. Nothing bad has a chance to take hold. Whatever I bring, I can go out in the woods, walk around all day long, come back in here, the same clothes on, same thing, everything. I could have spider mites all over my hands, probably, all over my everything, and come right in here, and as soon as that spider mite gets in here, it's dead. It's gone. It's like throwing meat to wolves. You know, they're going to get eaten immediately. And if they do make it up into the canopy here, it's just my job to go in and just take my hand and wipe them off, knock them on, get them out of their sanctuary, because this would be their sanctuary up in the trees. Get them out of the trees, get them onto the ground, game over. Plus we've got black soldier flies don't eat anything, but we've got the praying mantis, we've got the jumping spiders, we've got, you know, all the other predators in here, beneficial guys that'll take care of anything that gets out of hand. That's why I don't have to worry. You know, people ask me how I keep, you know, the pests down. At this point, I don't have to do anything. The critters are doing it all. Look at that spider right there. Is that a black widow? That looked like a black widow. The little bastards. They love it in here. They love warm, moist areas, black widows. But also we have skanks in here. Not skank, skink. They call them skink. I call them skanks, but they're little blue, striped lizards that come in from outside. Their home is in the rock here, and they only come out at night. Rarely see them during the day. I know they're in here. This is another old stump. You see, it's just been completely devoured. Look at the worms. So this is what's breaking down that breaking down the old stump. The roots are food now. So once we disconnect the life from once we kill it, basically. Look at the worm up in the. It's crazy. It's just falling apart. That's the biology. So I leave a stump like this, that high, because if I leave a stump like this isn't tall enough to re-veg, but it's tall enough to continue to pull water. So it's going to pull water up into this stump. And the water is what's needed for the biology to break this down. So the fungus and all the critters that are eating this bark, making it just fall right off here, they need that moisture. It's easier for them to break down soft wood than it is dry hardwood. So it just happens super fast if you leave a little stump there and let them do their job. Did the same over here. Leave that little stump there. They eat the roots down there. They're working 24/7. No matter where you go, they're working. Those are shredders. Isopods are shredders. They are awesome at it. They're like the best, one of the best shredders out there. That's why you see them under everything. You pull up a log, guarantee you're going to see an isopod. The gray ones are necessary too. Look at the worms that finally come up here. The gray ones are necessary too. A lot of people say they don't like them because they will take over a small bed, no doubt. But they do have benefit. They wouldn't be here if it wasn't beneficial. They would be, they would be extinct by now. They wouldn't have made it this far if they weren't necessary for the soil food web. be breaking down certain organic matter, certain things. All these isopods, all these springtails, all the rove beetles, all these different types of diversity do different jobs. They all have different job descriptions, and it's my job to make sure they have everything they need to do their job, which is food, organic matter, and as long as we can keep the poop loop going, we're good. This agate I found, it was buried over there in that muck. It had gotten covered. You can see where we have removed all of that. So we disconnected all of this. So a lot of water was getting in right there. Right there. And it was crazy how Leighton could see that with a simple microscope. A little bit of soil out of there, a pinch out of the center right over there. And he fucking looked at it and said, yep, you got too much, there's signs of too much water. Like there's signs that, you know, things are cysting up, and there are things in there that looks like it could be going in the anaerobic direction. So I said, I think I know the problem, because I have this too much sand and silt along the edge, and if I have too much water going in, all I have to do is remove sand, silt, and clay and organic matter from the edge, and that will sever that bridge for the water to be going up in. And when I started digging in through here, I went underneath this rock right here, and I saw that dip right there. Water was just pouring in right there. Right through here. It was soaking wet. Now it's dry. So we're going to keep it just like that. We're going to keep it severed where it's not pulling any more water into that crack right there. And that should slow the moisture down and allow the center to dry out a little bit more. It's still got all of this over here wicking in from this side. So we just gotta, you know, maybe in about a month or two, I'll send another sample to Leighton and we'll see what it looks like. I can also stick a water meter down, but the water meter always shows wet. It's always going to show moist, wet soil, but there's a fine line there. Like I can't be too wet, but I want to be wet, but I can't be too wet. It's just a fine line. A very fine line. These roots are starting to really, out of this lucky bamboo, the grass is starting to grow. Like that's grass. And then the roots are coming and catching algae, which is a good thing, because then we can just come in here and pull the algae and set it up here in the soil and allow the algae to, that's just another feed in the soil. Look at the size of that dairy cow. Holy cow. That thing's huge. Alright, I think that's good for today. We did everything we needed to do. I mean, this over here is just thick now. You can see these plants are looking good, actually. No burn. Really stacking nice. Starting to see some trichomes popping up there. That one over there is looking good. These two in the center are touching now. You can see they're completely crossed the creek. Growing like crazy. Those branches from the big mother there will be just coming on up. We'll just have to bend it a little bit further down and let those branches just kind of like a scrog net almost. Everything else looks good. Everything down here is looking good. Flowing nicely. Actually, see that big leaf right there? This one down here, we don't need this here no more. Look at the length on that. That thing is like 8 inches long. That thing's crazy. Let's put it over here. That thing smells good. Wow. I don't even know how to describe that. Funk. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Definitely funky. Take a couple of these fingers real quick. This one's funky too. Got a little blueberry there. There's that blueberry funk there. There's a little blueberry in that. See some trikes coming too. She's gonna be a good one. She's gonna be full of seeds too. I hope. Alright guys, we did go live yesterday for the first time, so be on the lookout. Who knows when I'll come back in here and go live again. Might be today, might be tomorrow, but it'll be. I hope everybody has a great Wednesday. Let's take that one out too. Let's take this one out too. Let this get a little light down here. Take this one out too. There we go. That looks better. And yeah, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.